Welcome to Cover Book Beat. I'm your host, Rodger Nichols. Our guest today, Sarah YC, has the determination and drive of an entrepreneur, the faith of a devout Christian. She has the heart and soul of an artist, the wisdom to learn from setbacks, and the desire to share that hard-won knowledge with others. She has started and run multi-million-dollar businesses, but not all has been easy. There was a 7-year period where multiple setbacks, multiple challenges, and she came through it with flying colors, but it wasn't easy. We're very pleased to find out about her book called 7 Years on the Front Lines. The subtitle is True Stories and Tough Lessons About a Small Business That You Won't Learn in a Classroom. We're very pleased to welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Rodger.
Yeah. Was this hard to write, to talk about your failures sometimes?
Yes or no. I think I grew up in a home that my parents really encouraged us to learn from our mistakes. So, my father was my personal, my mentor, and also my personal coach throughout my business career. So he always want me to make sure I learn something from every mistake or lesson, like a lesson that I learned from the experience that I had, whether good or bad. Okay. So I think, it is a healing process, for me to recall, the challenges I experienced in 7 years.
Okay. Well, your father, I understand, was a police officer involved with the police department. Is that correct?
Yes, he was. Yes.
And
before he retired.
Yeah. And didn't you join some junior officer program at that point?
Yes, I did. With the police marine in Hong Kong, during the British government. So I was trained for about maybe a couple years.
Wow. How much fun was that?
It was a lot of fun.
Okay. But you also started your entrepreneurship early. I understand that some of that began at age 12 when you started tutoring people. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. Yeah, making my own spending money starting as the age of 12. Yes.
Wow. And then the thing that intrigues me is you taught yourself to invest in foreign currency exchange. That's a kind of an unlikely subject for a young person to be interested in. How did that come about?
It was actually my mother who invested. My mom would never finish high school, so she was the one who started off, investing in foreign currency exchange in Hong Kong when she was raising us. She was a stay-at-home mom. So it was when I started, when I graduated from college, that was when I started looking into investment. And I started taking some financial stock investment classes, and I was reading a lot of books written by Peter Lynch. And he was kind of like my invisible mentor. So I read a lot of his books, and that's how I taught myself, how to invest in stock. And I was a day trader, for a few years before I, switched my investment to real estate.
I apparently, according to some of the information that I have here, you've got in some great IPOs when you were timing things.
Investment, always, I love to buy things at a bargain, so whether real estate or stock, I would study the numbers, statistic, analysis, and see if the investment I was going to purchase, was a good deal. And I also watched how the market progressed. So when it came to the right time to sell at a profit, I'll sell them.
Isn't that wonderful to be able to time like that? Not everybody can do that, and I speak from personal experience here, so I understand that. There are a lot of really cool things in this book. I read it, and I have probably 6 pages of notes. We won't be able to get to all of them at this time, but I think there's one thing that comes through, and that is your faith, and that has been a guiding light for you, as I understand.
Yes, I am a Christian, and I think, like without my Christian faith, I would not have really gone through, be able to come out as a stronger person, or being able to look at everything in a very positive way through the time when I was going through such hardship and adversity. So I remember it was like, I always have the habit, of memorizing scripture. It was during the 7 years. That's when I really make an effort to read the Bible every day and memorize sometimes a chapter, sometimes several verses. And I started writing short posts, on Facebook. And that's how I started memorizing scripture and started writing.
I have to ask you, do you have a favorite Bible verse?
Yes, it's actually in my book. It's John 16:33. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. I have overcome the world. So this is one of my favorites. And another one is, I can do all things through Jesus who strengthened me. So that's my second favorite Bible verse.
I also like the fact you put this line in here: not trying to be a winner by making someone else a loser. Fights, conflict, and arguments make good TV, but that's not what this book is about. It's about perseverance, positivity, and courage. That was really nicely summed up there in that double sentence. You care about other people.
I do, their feelings, yes.
And sometimes that care has not always been returned. And I'm thinking very much of somebody that you worked with, did not have anything other than a handshake, a contract, but how shall I put this? You had trusted them because they said they were Christian, but they were the kind that talk the talk and not necessarily walk the walk.
Yes, I still care about other people's feelings, even when it comes to business, but I think I just become wiser because business is business. And, Christian also make mistakes, including myself. I think having written contract with just being able to keep each other accountable.
Mm-hmm. So you want to tell the story about that particular episode, or what's the most important part for you to get out to our listeners?
I have always been a small business owner. We've been doing, pretty good, volume compared to other small business or mom and pop shop. We may appear to be a very small guy, but don't be afraid, to stand up for injustice, when you're faced with a giant, a bigger company. So, and I think that if we come, in with clean hands, we should not be afraid to confront issue, especially injustice or dishonesty, dishonest practice in a business.
Mm-hmm. And I know that some of the things I was going to start a list about all of them, but I got kind of discouraged because there were so many things that were problems. You've had health issues, you've had lawsuits, you've had the IRS hounding you for no reason for 3 years. You've had disappointments in trusting some people, including a person you hired to be CEO of your company. And yet, all the way through that, though you had despair at times, you always came through. What was your lifeline? Was it your faith? Was it confidence?
Oh, definitely, my faith. And as I mentioned earlier, my father was my mentor, and he also went through a lot of persevering in his life, before he passed away. So I think I picked a lot of his perseverance spirit from him. And during the 7 years when he was not with me, going through my very difficult situation, I felt that he was guiding me. It was just really, it's just very strange, that he always, one thing, even when he was alive, he would say, "Oh, do not be afraid, to stand for justice." And this little voice has always been, kind of like a voice whispering to my spirit during the time when I was in my darkest moment. Do not be afraid to stand for justice. And I think even going through the 3 years of IRS and justice audit, and I knew that I did not do anything wrong. I have all the paperwork to substantiate my expenses and my, deduction. So I was able to face it with courage and confidence, knowing that I have every single transcript and receipt to back up my substantiation.
Yeah, and one suspects that someone put them onto you after you let them go. That we won't necessarily go into that, but that's
yes, yeah. That was a former acting CEO, and he was also supposed to be a Christian. So I think that's why I opened the door, to let him in.
Yeah. But these days, you are still trusting of people, as well as being, what's the old line? Is afraid of God, but keep your ammunition dry, or something like that. Yes, yeah. Do protect yourself as well as being faithful. When people close the book, what do you hope they take away from it most?
I think they're going to be pretty overwhelmed, take a deep breath, but at the same time, they will feel a sense of closure because during the 7 years, I experienced everything a person, can go through in a lifetime, from having tremendous emotional distress to physical health issues. And I think the reader, we found that, they can also, be able to persevere and find hope, regardless of what situation they're in. I can overcome it, and they can also, do the same.
Absolutely. I would like the people to hear a little bit of you reading some of your work, because you have a very clear style that comes through very well. Do you have a section you'd like to share with us?
Sure, yes. I would say, it's on page 128 of my book. I'll just read one short paragraph. Parting ways with her former business partner opened new doors for Sarah. In October 2004, Sarah, with the help of her parents, established a new business, TSE, Worldwide Press. Sarah's father patiently and strategically mentored her, and by 2007, she was running the US operation herself, bringing in revenue exceeding $4 million. The other branch of the businesses, located in Hong Kong and operated by her sibling, controlled the manufacturing of the product and the logistics of international distribution. One night in early 2008, Sarah had a dream in which she established a separate company, United Yearbook, to expand her growing yearbook business.
And there's a whole tale there too, because you ran into potential copyright infringement or title infringement, I guess, or use of your business name by another company. You were able to work that out eventually.
Yes, through litigations.
Yeah.
Someone sold the trademark of United Yearbook to multiple businesses. So I have to either let it go or stand firm and pursue them. And eventually, I was able to get my name back.
Yeah. And how's business these days?
I would say we did go through some challenges last year, but overall, we're still growing and we're doing good.
All right. Well, I'm not surprised. All businesses took a hit last year with all the COVID stuff and supply chains and stuff. I have to ask this. You also have a background as a graphic designer. Did you design your own book cover?
Yes, I did.
I
have a graphic team to put it together, but I actually created, just the concept in Photoshop. And, I have a couple graphic designers help me, finalize the pre-press, the preparation for printing.
Yeah. So how did it feel, because you have published thousands of books for other people, to have open the first box and see your book there? What was that feeling like?
Just amazed. I just felt, wow, it was a dream, and now I have my own book. I never expected, to publish, my own book, because I always publish books for others. So it was a very amazing feeling. At the same time, it's very fulfilling, because I know this book is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, actually it came out last year, and I was looking at some of the reviews on Amazon, and they're pretty good. People say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known this earlier. I think most of us would have that feeling too. You've also written another book, as I understand.
Yes, it's getting to be released next month. It is also a lesson, but it is for young professionals, like college students, teaching them how to work professionally, also how to prepare them for career success. So I have written this book with two other professors from Biola University. Since at the end of my 7 years at university, I was recruited by the university to be a business coach, a speaker, and also a mentor at the MBA program. So, and this book is written for the students, not only Biola students, but also college students and young professionals all over the world. So applying some of my business lessons that I wrote in my first book and pack it up, just to gear to the, like young professional from 18 to, early 30 years old.
Okay. And I note from your own biography that you did not graduate from high school, but you have an undergrad and an MBA, and you went to law school as well. So education never stops, really.
It's very important. You just keep learning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see, boy, as I got to say, I got so many notes here to go through. Let's see. Yeah, is one of the things that you write on, this is a clip from page 40, it says, and after something bad had happened, you say, this isn't something that only happens in books, movies, or TV. This is real life, and there are people who are out to deceive, trick, and manipulate you to achieve their own agendas. That's a hard lesson to learn sometimes, but, the other thing that I really want to point out is don't make decisions when you're grieving. I think anybody who has lost a partner has realized that they have made some wrong decisions, but they acted too soon. So those are excellent bits of advice.
Yeah, whether we're grieving or emotional,
Yeah.
when we're high, I remember when I was like in law school, one of my professors, and he was a retired judge, he always reminded us that when we are emotional or when we are served with a summon, don't react right away. Don't respond. Take a day or two. To really calm down, to process our emotion before we respond.
Yeah,
so I took it to heart.
And absolutely. Let's see what else I wanted to. Oh, of course, and you want to. At the end of each section, you put a whole list of straight up advice, numbered and with a little paragraph explaining each one of them. And this is one of them that I like to quote is, get it in writing, no matter who you're in business with, no matter how righteous or honest or Christian they appear, need a solid contract. It's not cynical to require a contract. It's wise. That's an important thing, because some people say, oh, you don't trust me. Well, sometimes if you're dealing with a company, the person you're talking to may not be the person running the company 5 years from now. And if you have a contract, then both sides know what's going on. So
exactly.
Excellent. Where would you like to go from here? What's the next thing? You've got the book coming out shortly. You see yourself as an author long term?
I think so, because even though I just finished my second book, now I have more people coming to me, want me to help them. Now I become a writer. So I actually have 2 books that are in the pipeline that are scheduled to be released in 2022.
Wow. Well, obviously we see the start of A Star Is Born here with this. I want to make sure that I give you a chance to talk about everything you want to talk about. Is there anything I haven't touched on that you want to make sure our listeners know?
Yeah, I think it's important for the readers to know that my book is about giving hope to anyone who needs to have that kind of hope, regardless of what situation they're in. I think that's really the essence, of everyone, that when we go through trial, we want to really take advantage of our experience to benefit others.
Mm-hmm. And the more we can do that, the better persons we are, I think.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Okay. You have been generous with your time, and I want to make sure that I don't take you away from your business too long, but I sure thank you for taking time to be with us. And again, we want to tell you the first book is out. It's called it's 7 Years on the Front Lines, the True Stories and Tough Lessons About a Small Business That You Won't Learn in a Classroom. And you have the title of the second book handy there?
Yes, From Illusion to Reality. True stories and practical advice on how to prepare for college success before graduating from college.
All right. And we should pass on your website and your blog address for folks.
Yes, my website is sarahYTSE.com, spelled as SARAHYTSE.com. All
right. And we can look forward to much more advice and help from you in the years to come. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.